What's good, peasants? JB back here today with some more Pokemon Unite, and today we're going to be ranking the characters in the game post LEAFEON release. Should be a good time. And yeah, dude, if you are new to my tier list, these are typically just, my opinions, not really, cut and dry, set in stone type of thing. If you win with these Pokemon, if you enjoy playing these Pokemon, you can do well with anything in the game, then by all means, play whatever the heck you want. Just, these are, my opinions on where I see the characters in the game currently. Mostly solo duo trio play, but with a little bit of a 5-stack / tournament play thrown in there when I feel like commenting on it. Yeah, blah, 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 blah. You get the idea. But going over our tiers real quick, we have our dog tier, we have our splendid tier, which is going to be S tier, we have our admirable tier, which is our A tier. That's just the word I picked. We have above the banjo, which is A-, B+. I picked an A word, and I picked the B word. Yep, that's as simple as that. We have our Thanos tier, which is just a regular old B tier, perfectly balanced as all things should be. We got C for confusing and D for don't. Let's go ahead and start off. We'll start off with attackers. Let me go ahead and drag all the attackers just into the old. All right, we have all of our attackers in, and let's go ahead and I guess we can just do them in alphabetical order. Why not? We'll start off with Cinderace. I think Cinderace, if we're talking solo duo trio play, it's probably somewhere in the A- B+ range. If we're talking 5 stacks, it's probably somewhere C to like probably maybe even D, because like it's just not good in 5 stacks. But we're talking solo play, it's a really good Pokemon. You do a ton of damage with it, and you just press the A button a lot and you kind of kill things. We'll do A- B+ for that guy. Cram, I'm going to give straight up A tier. I think Cram is really good, super slept on, does a lot of damage early, does a lot of damage all throughout the game, has a great Unite move. All of its builds are pretty solid. I think the Mage build is a little bit meh. Dive Air Slash is phenomenal though, but yeah, all in all, big fan of the Cram. Ninetales is one of the best laners in the game, if not the best laner in the game, both competitively and in solo queue. This does ridiculous damage early on. You do need to get level 6 before you're fully online with the Avalanche Blizzard build, but the Aurora build is still good. So it may not be quite on par with Espeon as the other like best laner in the game. Maybe Mew, probably not Mew. But yeah, Ninetales is just really good, really strong, crazy damage, very good Pokemon. Easy A tier for me. Let's go ahead and move on to Venusaur. Venusaur, I'm going to go ahead and give the A tier as well. Promise, they won't all be in the same sphere, but I think Venusaur is also just a really good Pokemon. It sees a good amount of competitive play. Even Solar Beam sees a decent bit of competitive play these days. And yeah, it's still one of the best solo queue hyper carries with Petal Dance, Giga Drain. Let's take a little bit to get online at level 9. It's one of the better junglers in the game for that reason. So maybe you want to bump it down to A- B+ because you do need level 9. And it's, just not quite as dominant as some other characters at level 4 or, other characters who just don't need to evolve. So maybe we bump it down just a little bit for that, but I think the character is still very good. So yeah, we'll make it at the very tippity top of A+. I'm not ranking them all within the tiers because that would just take forever. So yeah, we're not gonna bother with that. Greninja. Greninja's a tough one because if we're basing it on comp play, it's not the worst, it's just no one ever plays it because there are like a million better characters. And if we're basing it on solo queue, it can be really good. It's a very good, stomper. It's a noob stomper. It's a hyper carry. You're gonna do a ton of damage with it. You're gonna get a lot of KOs with it. But you're also gonna have your games where you run into a Greninja who does literally nothing because, to quote Spraggles, Greninja players think they're actually ninjas and that they can just walk up from a bush and one-shot an entire team without anyone seeing them. When in reality, it's one of the most telegraphable mons in the game. It's one of the most avoidable mons in the game that just kind of only does great damage when things are low. So it's tough, but it's borderline C tier for me, honestly. I think Greninja's pretty bad. That's mostly basing it on Greninja players though, but there are also some really good Greninjas, so I'll give it B tier. I don't think it's as good as Cinderace though, so we'll keep it a tier below that guy. Next up, we have Pikachu. Pardon me as I was taking a drink. Pikachu. I think it's also A- B+. I think it's weirdly better in competitive than it is in solo duo play. Simply because, like, in competitive play, you're using it for a specific purpose where it is actually playing more of a supporter role than anything else. Whereas in, just regular ladder play, it's looked at as an attacker. You're never going to see like a solo queue Pikachu running experience share, which is what it does when it does get played in competitive play. It usually just runs the experience share top. You take it as the supporter role, and it's really only ever played against like super dive heavy teams. Team does have like a Zoroark and or Dodrio. Heck, some teams maybe even have both of those. You probably want to run a Pikachu against that for Volt Tackle. But in solo queue, even it does still have like a lot of utility. being able to pop like Glaceon passive, being able to just stun everything in the game. It still has a really good Unite move, so I'm willing to give it probably, you know, lower end A minus B plus. Is probably very close to the B tier, but I think it's pretty underrated, so I'll give it A minus B plus. Gardevoir is an easy A tier for me. The character just does ridiculous damage. I think it is one of the 3 or 4 best junglers in the game right now. Super consistent, super strong, has a great Unite move. All of its builds are good, all of its moves are good. So yeah, just ridiculous burst damage. Constantly just shredding through tanks, shredding through enemy front lines. Like, I love Gardevoir. It's great. Easy A tier for me. Sylveon. Spoiler, I do think it is the weakest of the evolutions, but it's still really good. I can't give it lower than A minus B plus. I think it's phenomenal. Really good sustain, respectable damage on both Mystical Fire and Hyper Voice. Calm Mind and Draining Kiss both have their uses. The worst part about Sylveon is its Unite move, and even that's pretty good because you just heal a ton from it. Like, it's just like all of the EVs are really good. It's just one of them has to technically be the worst, and I think it's probably Sylveon. But like I said, you're comparing like a bunch of really good characters like to each other, so one of them just by nature has to be. I think it's like we'll you know, continue to rank them a little bit. I think it's easily A minus, very close to A. The Decidueye, I am going to go ahead and give A tier. I think the Decidueye, it's a tough one because there are a lot of bad Decidueyes, and for that reason, I will go ahead and bump it down to A minus B plus. No, I can't. It's better than Cinderace. It's better than Cinderace in every way because it's actually playable in lane. And like, there are a lot of bad ADC players in the game. I get that. Like, there are a lot of bad Decidueye players, but the character itself is just on another level than every other ADC in the game at the moment, I feel. Just because it has such extreme range, and Spirit Shackle is played, you can play at such range with Spirit Shackle that it doesn't really matter how diveable you are if you play it well enough. Obviously, you'll have your moments where you just get completely destroyed by something, you just get caught out and you're dead. That's going to happen on the Decidueye, but you know, that'll happen sometimes on Cramorant, that'll happen sometimes on Cinderace, it'll happen sometimes on any character really if you know, have bad positioning. But being able to play just at such extreme range against something like a Glaceon and just being able to pop its passive and not have to worry about it. Same thing against Gardevoir teams. Same thing, you know, just constant poke damage with a really high burst damage move is really good. Still one of the better secures in the game. I think this Decidueye is very deserving of A tier. Duraludon, I'm not a fan of this character's playstyle. I know it always seems to have a really high win rate, and that's just because the only thing people do on it is just coin flip rate. And you know, it always seems to have around a 50% win rate, sometimes a little bit higher week in, week out, because you know, some people are winning more of the coin flips. I'm still gonna continue to stand by Flash Cannon being one of the worst builds in the game. Do I think it's better than Grin? I think it's actually pretty on par with Grin. I think it's a better character than Greninja. I just think flipping objectives on spawn is cringe, and it only works half of the time. If you're lucky, it works half of the time. So I don't know. I think it's cringe, but it's a really good character, so I'll give it that. Espeon's win rate has dropped a little bit recently, but I think it's still a really strong character. Up there for best laners in the game. You don't need to play this character jungle. Psyshock is still good even after the nerfs. Sword Power is still really good. Psybeam is great. Future Sight has its uses. Good Unite move. Really good passive. Like, it's a very good Pokemon. Easily A tier for me. Delphox, also another easy A tier. Just great constant damage. One of the best Unite moves in the game. Good in jungle, decent in path, but you probably don't want to play at path unless you're playing coordinated play, like at least a duo or trio. Like, you want an EXP share with this mod in lane. It's not the best last hitting, but it's serviceable last hitting, so it's okay. But yeah, it's Unite move. And you know, just the ability to crowd control with fire spin, or just, you know, skid around teams with flame charge. Like, I'm yeah, a big Delphox fan, always have been. Just, I'm willing to you know, keep it out of S tier, which is where I usually have it. Glaceon, though, we don't need to talk about it. It's broken. It's borderline dog tier even. In fact, yeah, we're just gonna leave it dog tier. It's broken as hell. It didn't need to be buffed. I don't know why they buffed it. Glaceon is disgustingly overpowered. Mew. I'm gonna give Mew A minus B plus. It's also gonna be at the very top of it though. The problem with Mew is the cooldown nerfs are like actually kind of effective on it for Solar Beam. It just doesn't do as much damage as it used to do. It feels like you're just like, especially with how tanky the meta is, it feels like you're just kind of only ever last hitting, or only ever just throwing your solar beams into like 4 tanks. Like, I don't know, it's just weird. Does a lot of damage. It's almost impossible to KO if you play it well, but it's also kind of hard to farm on. It's kind of hard to get really ahead on, which is something that it thrives when it is ahead. So I don't know, it's a really good character, but the nerfs are kind of starting to catch up to it, especially with how the game is being played at the moment. Dragapult. I think Dragapult's underrated. I think Dragon Dance is really good. I'll give it A-B+. Really hard to KO, really hard to catch up with, but kind of mid in other regards. And then last but not least, we have Chandelure. I think Chandelure is another easy A tier for me. Just constant output of damage. Poltergeist and Imprison are both really good. Overheat's crazy. Its Unite move is really good if you don't get it canceled. So yeah, overall, I think it's a really good character. And I don't think Greninja is the worst attacker in the game. Well, maybe it is, but I'm gonna bring a couple of guys down here with it. I think Duraludon can join it. I think that looks a little bit better. Yeah, I do. I want to move Desi down to the top of A-. Maybe we move Desi down. How does that look? Yeah, we'll move Desi down to the top of A-. So yeah, I think that looks a little bit better. And we'll just yeah, we'll move Glaceon to Splendid for now. We'll keep Glaceon in S just so we can have somewhere to put the rest of our characters. But yeah, Glaceon is unbelievably broken, and I'm kind of okay with this. Since we ordered the rest of them in A, we'll go ahead and do this, that. I think that's fair. That's close enough to fair. You can maybe do that. Yeah, I think that works. All right, let's do all-arounders next. All right, all-arounders. Let's go ahead and start off with my boy Garchomp. I think Garchomp is another A-tier character. I realize I'm putting a lot of characters pretty high, but you know, that's just the nature of things. I think Garchomp is one of like the only, like the very few good all-arounders right now. This is a really rough role in my opinion. I think a lot of these characters are just outclassed by defenders for that role, or completely broken. There's not a whole lot of in between for this role at the moment. And I think Garchomp is in a pretty fine position as one of the better all-arounders. It's able to fight early. It's able to, you know, snowball and, you know, be a really effective late game carry as well. Decent Unite move. Dragon build is far superior than ground build, but ground build has its moments. I'm not really a huge fan of it, but it's all right. Overall, great auto attacks, really solid damage, decent tankiness. I think Garchomp still is one of the better all-arounders. I'll give it A tier. One of the other really good all-arounders in the game right now is Machamp. We'll go ahead and give it A tier as well. I think it is very solid early, really decent throughout, has one of the best Unite moves in the game, good mobility, decent last hitting, so I'm fine with giving Machamp A tier. Lucario. I think Lucario is firmly A-B+, and I'm actually not gonna rank the you know, the roles against each other because we would literally be here all day. I think Lucario is fine A- character. It's solid. It has its moments where it's really good. I think Extreme Speed is kind of rough right now with all the CC in the meta. Power Up Punch is good, but Power Up Punch is a worse Urshifu, which, where is Urshifu? There's Urshifu. Forgot the guy. Yeah, Power Up Punch is just a worse Urshifu. You need to get level 11 on it before it has Unstoppable, where Wicked Blow has, you know, Unstoppable at level 5. So it's not as good as that, but it's still pretty solid. Like, it's okay, but not incredible. It's Lucario. Charizard, only good in the jungle. Still not that good. It's good against squishies, but it's really bad against tanks. I know a lot of people think Charizard is good, but like, I'm not there on it. I don't think Charizard is that great. I really don't. I think it's an okay jungler. I'll give it A-B+, because like it fills a different role than Luke, but I don't think it's good. I really don't. It just does no damage to tanks, man. It does no damage to frontline characters at all. And that's oftentimes what you're going to be grabbing in fights, because if you try to grab a Glaceon, 9 times out of 10, you're just going to pop its passive, and you're going to waste your Unite move. Like, so many things can cancel Charizard Unite. It's one of the more avoidable Unites, one of the more telegraphable Unites in the game. Like, you can see it coming from a mile away, and what are you going to do? You're just going to, you know, eject out of it, full heal out of it, be Glaceon and just ignore it. Like, I don't like Charizard. I think its Unite, I think its damage on its Unite is way too low. Like, the more I talk about it, the more I'm convincing myself that it's a B tier character. Like, it's fine, but it's not. There's nothing that stands out about it to me. So yeah, I'll give it B. Serena, I think, is one of the worst characters in the game, so I'm gonna put it in D tier. They ruined my Serena so hard. It was one of my favorite characters for the longest time, but with the shield and defense nerfs, like, it's one of the squishiest characters in the game. Its damage is still fine if you run into a bunch of squishies, but you're gonna die before you get close to any special attacker. And yeah, you're not doing enough damage to tanks. You're not healing enough against tanks to really justify running it in that regard as well. So yeah, Zarina's rough. Zarina is really, really rough. Dragonite confuses me. It really does, because Hyper Beam is fine, but like it's kind of hard to out secure a lot of the other things in the game. There are a lot better secures in the game now. Back when Hyper Beam used to be like one of the best, and I think Outrage is one of the worst builds in the game. Outrage is a worse Garchomp. It's a worse Buzzwole. It's a worse Scizor. I don't think there's any merit to running Outrage ever, but I know it has a lot of believers, so play it if you want. But Dragonite confuses me. I don't think it's good. Aegislash is another confusing one to me. It might be closer to B, but the thing with Aegislash is it is so bad until it becomes Aegislash. But it's like it used to be really good in lane, and they didn't really change too much about it to where like you would really think it affects it this hard. But this Pokemon feels borderline unplayable in lane sometimes. I don't know what it is. Like, it's just tough, man. I don't know. But once you get your 7, you're fine. Well, if you it's a character that's really, really good when it's playing ahead, when it's playing, you know, with a level advantage. It's good, but it's so hard to get one unless you're jungle, and there's like a million characters I'd rather have in jungle than Aegislash. So I do think it has its moments where it can be like a pretty good character. So I'll give it B tier. Like, there's nothing inherently wrong with it. It's just extremely outclassed by like kind of everything else. So yeah. Also, I think it's another B tier character. Pretty much the exact same thing. It's a fine character. It's just not outclassed by anything. It's good. Like, you can do well with it. Most games will probably do fine, but like there are better choices. So yeah. It's good early on. There's a pretty good Unite move that you get to spam a lot. Good brawler, good healing. So I think it's a good character, but not a single special thing about Azumarill. Buzzwole. Let me tell you, Buzzwole is borderline S tier for me. After the buffs it gets, which aren't going to be anything too crazy, which is allegedly only going to be a defense buff and a special defense buff, which might be enough to push it into broken territory, but it's already borderline S for me. I just don't know how much the buffs are going to change, because Buzzwole does feel pretty squishy sometimes. Like, it's borderline S, dude. It's so good. I'm going to give it A conservatively. I'm willing to be wrong about this, but yeah, I think it's a very good character. Superpower is phenomenal. Smackdown and Lunge are both playable. Decent Unite move if you're able to actually lock onto something. Leech Life is a meme. I think Leech Life is terrible, but if you're able to catch a squishy, cool. Problem is, like, most of the squishies, like, you're gonna grab an Eevee. No, you're not. Eevee's just gonna laugh at you and walk away. You want to grab like you know, a Cram or something, you're not gonna kill it in one shot, and it's just gonna delete you. Like, you're not gonna be able to get close enough to something like a Chandelure or a Mew. So like, it has its moments. You can grab a tank and heal off of it, but you know, it's just a stalemate at that point. I'd rather pick someone up and slam them into my team. All right, Tyranitar. Tyranitar's a little bit rough right now. I'm willing to get Tyranitar confusing, because I think the character's kit, like, I think overall it's still an incredibly strong Pokemon. Like, it does just a metric crap ton of damage, and it's very good once you get it to the late game. It's harder than ever to get this character experience, because there are so many characters that are so powerful early. This character is so bad for so much of the game that it's just hard to justify picking it over a lot of other things. But like, nothing's changed about Tyranitar. It still does ridiculous damage. It's still very tanky. It's just in a world where Glaceon can one-shot literally every character in the game, why would you ever pick Tyranitar over that? Or why would you ever want to play Tyranitar into that when you could just play it yourself? Or, you know, play something that could actually avoid that kind of damage, you know? It's just, I don't know, it's a tough one for me. Scizor, I think Scizor is extremely underrated. I'm willing to give it the same sort of realm as Lucario. The problem with Scizor is they didn't buff its special defense, so you do just still kind of lose to like all of these characters. But everything in the game loses to those characters. I don't want to punish Scizor for that when everything is, you know, just getting one shot by Slick Spoon Mages. So yeah, I think Scizor is extremely underrated. I really like the bulk buffs on it. I really like the bullet punch buffs on it. The healing is phenomenal. I think his Unite move is really underrated. Double hit and Sword Sense are both playable. And just to talk about Scyther, I think Scyther is honestly in the same realm as well, because Scyther isn't, you know, we don't have a card for Scyther. So let's talk about Scyther. I think it's probably A- B+ as well. Really good jungler, really good burst damage. Another really good Unite move. It's better at diving backlines and deleting squishies, whereas Scizor is more, you know, just better frontline brawling. So yeah, they both have their different playstyles, but I think they're both fairly solid Pokemon in this A- B+ range. Urshifu's S tier. Obviously Water Bear is broken as hell. We don't really need to talk about that guy anymore. We all know it. And I think Dark Bear is another character that's just extremely underrated. Has great secure. It also, like, it kind of has like a way of just getting in. Like, you can throw chop in, Wicked Blow once, and, you know, pop Glaceon Unite, or pop Glaceon passive, then Unite, and then Glaceon. Like, you can actually just, it's a character that can actually combat Glaceon a little bit. Dark Bear, that is. But Water Bear, obviously phenomenal. It's just, you know, yeah, very, very good. And Zacian, we don't need to talk about that guy. Fuck that guy. Let's go ahead and do supporters next. All right, we got our supporters here. Let's go ahead and start off with Clef. Clef. Clef is borderline S tier for me in solo queue. I think it is anyway. The problem with Clef in coordinated play is there are a couple of characters that are just better. So for solo queue, I'm very willing to give Clef S tier because I think it's the best solo queue healer in the game. You just AoE heal your entire team, which is very nice. So it's tough. It's tough. Like, I'm gonna base it on my own rankings in my own heart. I'm giving Clef S tier because, like, bro, just being able to AoE heal a team, like, if you ever see a Clef doing under 100k healing, either that player was just not doing their job, or their team stomped super hard and just wasn't taking damage. But yeah, Clefable heals a ridiculous amount. AoE healing the entire team is phenomenal. It has a really good Unite move depending on, you know, which one you roll. All of them are pretty useful. All of them have their uses except for Splash, obviously, but I mean, you just get it back again, which I guess technically pops a Buddy Barrier if you're running it, but like, who runs Buddy Barrier these days? But yeah, I mean, it's a good character. I mean, obviously it's a good character. I mean, it's a good Unite move. Like, all have their merits. Other than that, heals a ton. Gravity's great. Follow Me's great. I think Clef is phenomenal. All right, Wiggly. I'm gonna give Wiggly B. Just going back to the way how I was talking about these guys, like, it's a good character, but I don't think there's anything special about it. The problem with Wiggly is it's not truly a supporter. It's more so a defender than anything. It's competing with, you know, Slowbro, Snorlax, Trevenant for that sort of role. Maybe not Trevenant, but Mamoswine. It's competing with those characters for that role, and those characters just do that job a little bit better. I am still gonna stand by the take. Just buff Clefable's defenses and make it a full-on defender. Change its role. I think that would make it a very viable Pokemon. Maybe tweaking, you know, a couple other, like, you know, things here and there about it, but overall, I think Clef is a fine character. Nothing too special, nothing too crazy, but definitely solid. Okay, Mr. Mime, as I take another drink. I streamed for like 4 hours tonight, and then I was in call for another like 2 or 3, so forgive me. I am losing my voice. Mr. Mime. I think Mr. Mime is borderline A-B+ for me, but the problem with Mr. Mime is, similar to Clef, nothing really just stands out about it too much. I'm going to give it A-B+ because you can carry with it a little bit harder than you can Wiggly or other characters, sort of. Barrier is phenomenal. Confusion's great. Power Swap and Psychic are both playable. Really good Unite move. Great in lane, great all throughout the game. Like, Mime is just good. I think it just has enough of an edge over Wiggly to keep it them in separate tiers. Eldegoss, broken, one of the best, if not the best supporter in the game. AoE healing again with Cotton Guard. You can heal a whole team, give the whole team big fat shield. They don't lose their shield, you heal all of that. Pollen Puff is another very nice heal. Really good damage, really good attacker. Just does like auto attacker. Just does great damage with his auto attacks all throughout the game. Good Unite move. Everything about Eldegoss is great. Easy S tier for me. Hoopa, another easy S tier. You don't really see it as much in solo queue, but it is played all the time in tournaments. It is phenomenal. The problem with it in solo queue is that no one pays attention to your holes. No one will actually take your hole back to base. Like, solo queue players still don't know how to play with Hoopa, and it astounds me. People don't use your Unite. It's so frustrating when you have a good Unite move, and you just have like 2 of your teammates just farming bees in the other lane. Like, what are you doing, man? What are you doing? Help your team. Pay attention to your Hoopa. I promise you, if someone is playing Hoopa in solo queue, they probably know what they're doing. And if they Unite, you should probably take it. If they drop a hole on top of you, you should probably go through the hole. Trust your Hoopas. That's my PSA to everyone watching this video. Trust your Hoopas. They know what they're doing. Sableye. I'm going to give Sableye A tier. Sableye is not, again, it's not really a supporter. It's more of a harasser, annoyer, backline, annoyance, scoring, threats. It's just annoying. Sableye is just annoying. Yeah, I hate it. ton of stuns, ton of CC. I don't like playing against it. One of the most annoying characters to play against in the game. So I'm willing to give it the respect of A tier, but it is also one of the worst teammates to have in the game because Sableye players have no idea what they're doing half of the time. But when you play against a Sableye, they will body you, they will annoy you. I don't understand how I never have a Sableye constantly harassing the enemy backline, yet the enemy Sableye is always stunning me. It's weird, it's crazy. But yeah, Sableye, good character, just needs a better player base, in my opinion. All right, and Comfey. Comfey, I mean, it's probably still S in solo queue, but I'm willing to give Comfey A because it just doesn't feel as oppressive as it used to. It's still an incredible character, but I just think Clef is a slightly better like solo queue pocket these days. Probably, I don't know. It's tough. The thing with Comfey is you would think you would see it all the time in pro play, but you never see. Well, you don't never see it. The only time you ever see Comfey in pro play is if this character is picked or one of these two characters is picked. That is the only time you ever see Comfey. You never see a Comfey like on a Lapras. You never see a Comfey on like a Garchomp or something in competitive play, or a Zacian, obviously, because that's banned in tournaments, thankfully. But yeah, it's really good, really strong. The nerfs to it affected it in a way that like makes it sort of manageable, kind of. It's still ridiculous, but not as ridiculous as it was. So A tier, fight me on it. I'm probably wrong. It's probably still S, but A tier. Alrighty, let's move on to our defenders. Defenders. I don't know why I said it 7 times, but I did. I don't even know how many times I said it. Maybe it was actually 7. Who cares? This is one of the best roles in the game. We all know it. All of these characters are pretty damn good to okay. Like, there's not really any bad defenders. I mean, there are a couple, but man, this role is stacked. Let's go ahead and start off with Slowbro, S tier, easy. It is the most perfect defender in the game, just to put it simply. It doesn't do like overbearing amounts of damage like some of the other characters on this list, and it doesn't have like it kind of has like borderline unpunishable sustainability. It doesn't feel like you can't like deal with a Slowbro though. Sometimes it does if you're playing like a really good Slowbro, but oftentimes like it does feel manageable to the point that it doesn't feel unfair or unfun to play against. But it's an incredible Pokemon. All of its moves, all of its builds are good. One of, if not the best Unite move in the game. Slowbro's great. We all know it. Don't really need to talk too much more about it. Snorlax. Snorlax is A- B+. I think it's worse in solo queue than it is in competitive play, obviously. But I think there are obviously some other characters that just sort of fill that role and, you know, kind of just do a little bit more. Specifically in solo queue, because like you're never gonna carry with a Snorlax, but you can carry with a lot of defenders in this game. So it's just tough when like you are just a pure tank through and through, and then you have a character like Blastoise or Mamoswine or Trevenant, Lapras even, who are also tanks to some extent, but also can just do 100,000 damage on a whim. You're not doing 100,000 damage on Snorlax against a good team. Even on Flail, I'm sorry. If you're doing 100,000 damage on Flaelax, then you're playing bad players. That's just all there is to that. But yeah, all in all, I think it's a really good character. Good Unite move. Yawn is usable. Heavy Slam is good. Block is one of the best moves in the game. Decent Unite move. Big fat buddy barriers. Other than that, just kind of is what it is. Almost a liability sometimes in solo queue with how little like agency you actually have over the game yourself. All right, Crustle. It's always going to be in the confusing tier for me, man. It has its moments. Like you'll see a Crustle pop off every now and then when you have one of your games, but it's so inconsistent and it's so like one-track mind in terms of just pick up points, go score, go annoy a squishy if you can, or just kind of run at a goal and die. Like that is basically all Crustle does. When in reality, I think actually is a pretty decent brawler. The problem is everything can get out of Rock Tomb. Like everything has a dash to get out of Rock Tomb. Or, you know, you play Shell Smash and you have to drop your defenses to 0 in a world where, you know, characters like this exists. Like characters like this exist. So yeah, it's tough, but like it has its moments. It's a really good Unite move. Just buff Shell Smash to where it just lowers defenses, not literally makes it 0. That'd be a start. Can we get that maybe? Blastoise is an easy A, borderline S tier pick for me. Great solo queue carry with Rapid Spin and Water Spout. Also pretty solid, you know, defender as well with Surf Hydro Pump. One of the best Unite moves in the game. Borderline S tier for me. And if you're talking purely solo queue, it might be, but the problem with Blastoise is like it just needs level 9. The problem is that's the only problem with Blastoise. Is also the only problem with Goodra. Like, why would you play either of those characters when this character doesn't need to evolve, this character doesn't need to evolve, this character only needs level 5? Like, it's just, you know, it's not the same. Mamoswine. Mamoswine, I think, is kind of slept on at the moment. I'm also going to give it A-B+, same as Snorlax. You can carry a little bit harder with it in solo queue, but I can't tell you the last time I saw a Mamoswine used in pro play. It's just kind of, I don't want to say irrelevant. It's just, it's like the 4th best defender, and oftentimes Lapras are slow. Lapras will get banned, you know, pretty often. Slowbro will get banned against some teams, like targeted bans. And then, you know, you just grab Snorlax or Trevenant ahead of that. Some teams even play Goodra ahead of it. Like, it's just, it's like the Blastoise even. Blastoise gets picked as an attacker / all-rounder, though, in tournaments. Actually, it's not even picked right now because Rapid Spin was still banned for this past weekend or yesterday's tournament as you guys are watching this. But, yeah, dude. Mamoswine's like the 5th best defender. Like, it's fine. Like, it would probably be fine if it was played. It's just never played. But in solo queue, you can still carry pretty well with it. Good CC, decent Unite move. Yeah, it's a good character. Good Pokemon for sure. Greedent. Greedent, I'm also going to give A-B+. It's borderline A for me, just because of how annoying it is to deal with. But I just don't think it has like enough carry potential. Enough like, I guess. Yeah, I'll go ahead and give Greedent A, just because of how annoying it is. Really good Unite move, really strong all throughout the game. It's great. It's great. Yeah, easy A. Let's go ahead and move on to Trevenant. Trevenant is borderline S tier. It's so close to S tier, but I think there's just a couple of things keeping it out of S tier. And those couple of things are, you know, these two. Spoiler alert. Man, the thing with Trevenant is still has incredible sustain, still incredibly strong. Do we have 4 S tier defenders? Yeah, I think we just have 4 S tier defenders. Because the thing with Trevenant is like it's still so good in solo queue as well. It's one of the best solo queue carries in the game, and it's the best. Like, if you want to play that all-arounder brawl style and you don't want to jungle, play Trevenant over literally any other all-arounder. Like, it is just, it's not better than like these characters at dealing damage, but it's better at these characters than fighting against, you know, a lot of the other crap in the game. Great sustain, unbelievable sustain, solid CC, solid stuns. It could deal with you know, these guys. It can deal with EVs a little bit, as it could pop its passive with both Woodhammer or Pain Split, or hell, even Horn Leech. Problem is, you're just gonna get, you know, ripped down by Spoon eventually. But Pain Split heals you, Horn Leech heals you, run Potion on it, Eos Cookie, Focus Band, you heal a ton. You have a, yeah, I think Trevenant deserves S tier. Goodra's tough, man. I love Goodra. It's probably my favorite defender to play. But I don't think it's quite as good as Mamoswine. It's on par for sure. Like, it's pretty close. But the thing with Goodra is it has such a weak early game until level 5. But then once you get Dragon Pulse, you're pretty good. Once you get, yeah, I guess I can give it A-B+, because once you do get level 5, you are pretty solid. And obviously you're not waiting till level 9 to evolve, whereas Mamoswine you're waiting till level, you are waiting till level 9. You only need level 8 on Goodra. So, but Piloswine is a lot better than Sliggoo, so I think that like kind of evens out to where, you know, Goodra evolves a level early, but Piloswine is better in the middle stage. I think it has a better Unite move. I think it has a better passive than Mamoswine. Dragon Pulse gives you really good sustain. I think I can justify A-B+. But yeah, it's just outclassed. That's the problem with Goodra. It's just these other, what, 1, 2, 3, 4. These other 6 are just better. Yeah, I think that's fair. Lapras, S. I mean, do we need to talk about it? It's so good. It's so good. Water Pulse, broken. Bubble Beam, broken. Parashong, okay. Unite move, incredible. Ice Beam, bad. That's pretty much the rundown of Lapras. Has one of the best boosted Unites in the game, one of the best passives in the game. Shell Armor is so good. That's what's broken about Lapras is Shell Armor. Yeah, its damage is really good, but if it didn't have an ability that literally cut damage by, what is it, 15%, something like that. Let me read Shell Armor real quick. I'm pretty sure I do this every time I make a tier list, but I don't know exactly what shell armor does, but I know it's broken. If Lapras would take a single instance of damage that would be greater than 10% of Lapras's maximum HP, this damage will reduce by 25%. So yeah, you're basically taking anything that would do over 10% of its health and reducing that by 25%, and it's on no cooldown. So this character basically just takes no damage and heals it all off with its boosted auto attack, which is why you want Water Pulse, by the way, because you get your boosted auto all throughout the game, whereas on Perish Song you need level 11 to get your boosted auto every time you press it. So yeah, Lapras is ridiculous, super strong, super good sustain, respectable damage. Like, the damage on Lapras isn't actually anything too crazy. It's just the fact that he gets to click its moves so often that it ends up doing a ton of damage. So yeah, Lapras is crazy. And then last and certainly not least for our defenders, we have Umbreon. This character, if it wasn't for, you know, just everything else being the way it is, like if it wasn't for Glaceon being overpowered, I honestly think Umbreon might be the most broken character in the game besides Zacian. But yeah, Umbreon is ridiculous, man. It has such good sustain, so many stuns. Like, the stuns on this character are ridiculously strong, man. Like, oh, really good Unite move too. All of its moves are good. Like, Mean Look just traps you. Foul Play stuns the hell out of you. You can't move. You can't play the game. Snarl, another fat stun, huge shield, and then Wish, you can heal your teammates. Oh, by the way, you're one of the best healers in the game too, on top of all of that if you want to be. Yeah, it's unbelievable. One of the best laners in the game, one of the best Pokemon in the game, bar none. Umbreon is crazy. I didn't make an Umbreon tier list, so I didn't get to gush about it when it came out, but yeah, this character, top tier, phenomenal, absolutely great. I love it a lot. Let's move on to Speedsters, last but not least. Oh, I forgot about Blissey, actually. I forgot about Blissey. Blissey, A- B+. I just think it's slightly outclassed. Nah, it's A. Blissey's A. We'll get Blissey A. I forgot Blissey. It's borderline A- for me. I'll go ahead and give it A. I'll stick it in here with the rest of the supporters so it doesn't look like I forgot it for anyone who skipped to the end. But yeah, Blissey, yeah, it's strong, good Unite move, heals a good amount. I forgot about it. Sorry, Blissey. All right, let's move on to Speedsters now, last but not least. Oh boy, this one's gonna be controversial, guys. I can already tell you aren't gonna like some of my opinions on Speedsters, but that's okay. You don't have to like me, you just have to. You don't have to like me, but you're gonna respect me. What's the? Oh god, that's a. Is that an no, not asking us. It's a Day to Remember song. Jesus Christ, sorry. All right, let's move on to our Speedsters. Gengar. I think Gengar is B. The problem with Gengar is it's just you need a snowball. You can carry the hell out of a game with Gengar, but you need level 9 on it. Do we need to go over why level 9 Evos aren't as good as Pokemon that evolved earlier? I've talked about that pretty much this entire video, so yeah, it's really strong. You can snowball with it, you can carry with it super well. In fact, I'll even give it A-. It's really strong. It's really strong. A- it is for all Gengar. Absol. I think Absol's a fine B tier character. It's solid. I don't think there's anything remarkable about Absol. I don't think there's anything that stands out as special about Absol other than Unite move, or Cycle Cut, Fluffy Tail, Unite move. That's basically all Absol has for it. That's like that's the thing that might push it above some other things, but like, you have to commit that many resources to make your character useful. I think it's, more falls in line with the rest of these Pokemon. It's good. It's still a bully. Like, it's really strong early, but I don't think it's anything special. Talonflame. Talonflame confuses me. It actually has a decent matchup against Pokemon like, Glaceon, just being able to avoid its damage, pop its passive, and just run away from it. Like, it's not bad. I guess a lot of these squishier mages. The problem is no one knows how to play Talonflame. I've talked about it ad nauseum. I think Talonflame, if we're talking about player base, it's the worst character in the game. I don't think anyone knows how to play Talonflame. I think it's absolutely atrocious how bad people are at the character. But I do think it has its moments where, like, it's not actually, like, awful if you know how to use it. Like, if you're actually using your fly, you're coming in from creative angles and jumping on, the backline. If you're playing it like a backline assassin, like it's supposed to be, then yeah, it can do stuff. But 9 out of 10 Talonflames just fly into a Slowbro and don't do anything, and then run away at 1 health and go try to score 50 with 4 people alive. They're like, I hate Talonflame players. It confuses me and I hate it. But Zeraora. That's another confusing character, because I don't think Zeraora is as bad as everyone thinks it is. I think a lot of people think Zeraora is the worst character in the game, but this is another thing I've talked about just ad nauseum, just so much. Like, Zero Aura is incredibly strong. It has great abilities. Wild Charge is extremely broken. Discharge gives you a big fat shield and does really good AoE damage. And its Ignite move is just kind of a delete button. The only problem with Zero Aura is that it gets its plus move at 12 and 14. I am perfectly fine with giving it 11 and 13 for those. Just do not give this character Discharge at level 7 or Wild Charge at level 7 the way it currently is, because I think you would have to nerf those moves damage to justify giving it a level earlier. But you don't want to nerf a character after buffing a character. Like it's just, that's why it's confusing to me. I don't understand it. But yeah, Zero Aura, it's not as bad as you think it is, but it does need a little bit of something. Just not what everyone wants it to have, I guess. Yeah. Dodrio. All right, Dodrio's one of the characters that I think I'm gonna have a pretty hot take on. A lot of people think Dodrio is like the bane of your existence, and a lot of people think Dodrio is like the best character in the game, S tier, broken beyond belief. I don't know where those people are coming from, because quite literally everything in the game counters Dodrio. Literally everything every single Pokemon in the game with a red buff counters Dodrio. Any character that can get near Dodrio and hit it with any sort of CC, one Icicle Spear, one Tick of Overheat from Chandelure, one Cinderace boosted auto, one Dragapult auto, one Water Pulse from Lapras. Like everything counters Dodrio. Fire Spin, Magical Leaf, Clefairy. Everything counters Dodrio. But if you don't hit Dodrio with any of that, yeah, it's gonna one-shot a squishy. You know those one-shot squishies? This guy, this guy, this guy. This guy, pretty much everything one-shot squishies. Like, I get that people thinking Dodrio is broken and very strong. I get people thinking Dodrio is one of the better characters in the game, but to say it's like up here, which is a lot of the sentiment I get on Twitter, is absolutely crazy. Like, people on Twitter have meltdowns about Dodrio. I don't get it. People on Reddit have meltdowns about Dodrio. I don't understand it. Dodrio is not like on par with Glaceon or Umbreon or Lapras or even Urshifu. Hell, obviously not Zacian. Not even on par with Zoroark in my opinion. But yeah, it's a really strong character. And am I going to give it A tier? No, I think it's still an S tier Pokemon, just because it has like one of the highest skill ceilings in the game. You have to be very good with it to pop off with it. But man, it's not like this. It's not one of the 3 to 5 best characters in the game. I think it's somewhere, you know, I don't think it's as good as the supporters. I don't think it's as good as any defender. I don't think it's as good as Urshifu. I don't think it's as good as Zacian or Glaceon. I think it's probably on par with, you know, something like, well, I think it's probably on par with Tree in terms of how good it is. Maybe Hoopa. Like, it's fine. Like, it's like, honestly, Hoopa's a pretty fair comparison to it. Like, yeah, you're gonna get a really good Hoopa player, or you're gonna get a really good Dodrio player occasionally. But a lot of times people aren't going to know how to play with those characters like on your team. Like, a lot of people aren't going to know how to follow up with the Dodrio. A lot of people aren't going to know how to take a Hoopa hole. We already talked about that. But yeah, I don't think Dodrio is otherworldly broken, but I do think it's deserving of the S tier, if that makes sense. All right, Zoroark. I think Zoroark is another S tier character. Very strong. The problem with Zoroark is it's probably the hardest character to play in the game, just because of how like good you have to be with his combos to actually get his combos off. To this day, I still cannot land Night Slash consistently, and I've tried. Trust me, I have gone into practice range and tried to learn how to do the Night Slash combo. It just does not compute in my brain. I can do Feint Attack pretty consistently. I'm pretty decent at Feint Attack Zoroark. But the problem is, like, bro, Night Slash is just difficult. Feint Attack is probably better, so like that's fine. But yeah, this character, very strong, extremely threatening with a level lead. Like, you have to be so careful. You see a Zoroark to not let it get ahead and not let it snowball a game, because I don't think there's a single character in the game aside from Zacian who, if you give this character a 2 to 3 level lead, you're pretty much done. It's one-shotting everything the entire game. So yeah, you have to be very, very careful about giving this character a level lead. It actually is very good at diving these squishy backline mages as well. And you can actually get in on a Glaceon, pop one Feint Attack, pop Shadow Claw or Cut, pop its passive, and then boom, 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 combo, dead. Like, I can actually play well into a lot of these, you know, broken ass, you know, spoon mages. So that's the value Zoroark has. It can play into those Pokemon and delete them. So yeah, that's why I think Zoroark is an S tier for me. And then last and certainly not least, the new kid on the block, LEAFEON. Holy crap, LEAFEON. Just go to the Pokemon Unite Reddit and people will tell you this is Zacian 2.0. This is the most broken character they've ever released. What the hell are you talking about? People think LEAFEON is like the second coming of post-release Duraludon, or, you know, release night Sylveon. That's what people are thinking of LEAFEON. Are we playing the same game, people? This is the squishiest character in the game, and it has 1,000 more HP than Decidueye, by the way. Did you know that? Did you know that? At level 15, it has 1,000 more HP than Decidueye. Yeah, and it's still the squishiest character in the game. Solar Blade is only good when it's fully charged. It's okay if it's not fully charged. Aerial Ace is one of the most useless moves in the game. Aerial Ace is absolute garbage. Leaf Blade is the best part of this Pokemon's kit, bar none. Leaf Blade is really strong. Well, let me get back to that. Circle back to that. Razor Leaf is hard to use against a lot of characters. Like you throw, you know, Razor Leaf out of tank, you're getting your big fat shield. It's pretty nice. So yeah, like Razor Leaf has its moments, but it's kind of hard to land on a good player because a good player will just run away from your Razor Leaf and not let you get close to them. But if you kill them fast enough, then it doesn't really matter. That's where the combo comes in, which we'll get to in a second. But the actual best part about this kit is the Unite move. LEAFEON's Unite move is crazy good. That is the most broken part about LEAFEON's kit by far. Its Unite move is absolutely insane. Get yourself an Energy Amp and you will one-shot every single attacker in the game. Like, easily. And that's what it should do. It's a Speedster. It has an Execute Unite move. It's really good. So if you're wondering what... Why did I clap? So if you're wondering what the LEAFEON combo is that I mentioned a little bit earlier, if you want to go back and watch my video on the Razor Leaf build, it actually goes in and explains it a little bit better than I can here, and you can actually see how to do it. Or maybe I'll just pop it in. I don't know. Probably won't, because I'm already going to have to edit a ton of this video, and I don't want to do more. But either way, the combo to make Razor Leaf actually good and how you actually one-shot people with it and why people might think it's broken, because I don't think a lot of people actually know how to do the combo, is you're going to want to make sure you have your chlorophyll gauge fully charged, so you have your boosted auto attack. You're going to want Leaf Blade in, use your boosted auto, which will give you a slow, then Razor Leaf 1, Razor Leaf 2. You can throw your Razor Leaf in between your boosted auto and your Leaf Blade, so you can Leaf Blade in, Razor Leaf, boosted auto, Razor Leaf if you want to do that, but I just prefer to Leaf Blade, auto, Razor Leaf, Razor Leaf. It's just a really easy combo to catch a squishy and slow them down so you can actually delete them, because a lot of people just instinctively back up when they get dove on, so that will inherently make your Razor Leaf easier to hit. But yeah, all in all, I think it has an incredible Unite move. Solar Blade is really strong. Razor Leaf has its moments. Leaf Blade is broken. Good passive. Glass Cannon AF. Not S tier in my mind. I think it's high A tier. If I were to rank it in A tier, I think it's probably closer to the top of A tier, but I'm not going to go with, like I said, I'm not ranking the rolls against the rolls because I don't want to be here all night. But I do think it is very high A tier. But I think just the fact that quite literally anything, a strong gust of wind can one-shot this Pokemon, I think keeps it out of S tier. I don't think it's S tier by any means. It has a really strong early game, but if you don't let this character get a level lead, it's not going to do anything. Like, it's just another Pokemon. Just don't let it get a level lead if you're that scared of it. So yeah, there is the tier list for post LEAFEON release. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Please roast me, but keep it civil. Nah, you don't have to keep it civil, but yeah, I think this is generally a pretty solid explanation of where I think things are. Oh, and we need to move Glaceon up there because Glaceon's broken. Yeah. And that's gonna be the old tier list, though. Let me know what you think, and if you think anything is just wildly misplaced and whatnot, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Thank you guys so much for watching. Take it easy.